Yes. And you can hear me all right on stream as well? Yes, very good. We have Annika and Cecilia here, and Jessica and Sanna in the room. Okay. Okay. Let's just see to it that we sit comfortably. We close our eyes. And we just notice this moment. Aware of anything that comes into this experience right now. Notice the sensations of the body, the emotional content. There might be thinking. And whatever comes through your senses. But instead of engaging in everything, just see if you just can stay aware of them. You just stay as awareness itself. You refrain from trying to fix something or change, control in any way. You just stay in this moment. And if you get lost in thoughts, you just come back to this pure awareness, which sounds fancy, but it just means that you are aware of what is going on in this moment, instead of that you engage in it. Just notice that you can observe your thoughts, observe your emotional state, physical sensations, whatever comes. It all comes into your awareness. You don't have to try to make your mind quiet. You just allow all thoughts to come. Don't push them away. Just allow. Accept them fully. But you're completely aware that they are happening. So whatever the mind talks about and says, or whatever images come up, or whatever emotional content or discomfort or pleasing sensations or whatever it is, You just stay aware. You don't push anything away. You don't hold on to anything. At first it can feel like a very, very fine balancing point. The Buddhists call it the razor's edge. This is the initial experience you will have of this state. It will feel like a state of balance. But the more you explore it, you will understand that it is always there. It doesn't have to be forced. And you don't have to do anything. But in the beginning it would feel like, like inside you can lean back or push forward. You can just stay at this tipping point and you just observe. And when you engage in this, you stay out of your normal everyday mind that you go into. So the mind itself might be a little bit restless in this, trying to get your attention, trying to get its hold back on you, try to hook you, try to trigger you. But you just stay. And if you stay, you notice that it's very spacious. On the surface there are thoughts, sensations of the body, things are coming and going. But you notice deep silence. That might be covered by thoughts and beliefs in your everyday life. But when the mind settles, it becomes clear. This stillness, this silence behind the experience that is always there. It's just obscured by thoughts, emotional content and beliefs. And this silence, this stillness, is a reflection of you. In the depths of meditation, you will notice that you are silence itself. And that your thoughts, emotions, and any experience that you have arise out of this silence, stays for a while, and falls back into the silence. Meditation has nothing to do with belief. It's not a philosophy. It is a way to discover what awareness is, what the present moment is, what this silence is. And ultimately, what you are. You can open your eyes, you can move your body if you need to. Stretch out your legs. Meditation at its core is very, very simple. I jokingly sometimes say that it could be summed up in one sentence or 2 words, maybe more. Be as you are is a good description of meditation. But the problem with all good descriptions of meditation is that for the egoic mind, it doesn't mean much. Be as you are for the egoic mind means I don't have to change. There is nothing to do with it. Why am I practicing? Because the egoic mind always thinks in terms of doing. If it takes on meditation, it will say, how am I going to do this? What strategy do I need to apply to be a good meditator? But this doesn't apply to meditation. Because in meditation, the only thing there is awareness. So then the mind says, okay, then I have to be attentive. I have to be aware. So how can I be attentive all the time? But as a strategy, that is very frustrating. If you practice for a long time, you have probably tried to be attentive a lot. Every moment. Come back to it in your everyday life. It goes from just being really attentive in your meditation and you practice it. But the problems with it is that you assume that you are someone that needs to be attentive. This distinction creates the problem with meditation. Because as this meditation is described, it's described as non-dual meditation. And that entails that there can be no separation. And as soon as you say, I am meditating, I am trying to stay aware, there is separation. And then again the mind goes in and says, okay, but then there's nothing to do. I cannot even be aware. But the mind has beautiful qualities. It has the quality of contemplation, to ask these questions, what we're talking about now. And those questions can also lead to you start to investigate what this experience is. Where is the one that is meditating? Where is it located? The one that you refer to when you say, I'm coming here, I'm listening to this, I'm learning meditation, I'm going to be a meditator. Who is the one that is doing that? Because in your mind, it seems like a person that does something, that takes on a task. And when the task is going well, you will say to yourself, I'm doing great. And from your criteria, when the task is not going well, you will say, I am doing badly. Correct? So this is the game that the mind plays with it. And it likes to take credit for whatever you do. But what if life is happening? And all these ideas in your mind of yourself is also happening in that experience. And since you can be aware of it, since they can be observed, what does it make them? It just makes them another phenomena that is coming, staying for a while, going. And the mind can be very subtle in its separation. Even if you meditate a lot, it can still have some hold that makes you feel disconnected. You might sense there is a lot of stillness in you, but there's still a sense of disconnection. There's still a feeling that something is out of reach. So look at the one who is trying, desperately trying to connect, because in that idea is the idea of separation. And there are so many distractions. There's so many ways of being distracted. It's so easy for the mind to say, let's do this, let's do that. And even if you're committed to a spiritual path, there are still so many distractions. It's so easy to make a certain sadhana as a distraction after a while. I like when I do the mantra thing. And instead of supporting you, it's a distraction. And most of us don't have a very strange view of what awareness is. It's either a concept, or for many people, it's not something very valuable. Because everything valuable is in time. And also for the one on a spiritual path, this applies. Because if you're always focused on the goal, when is my opening gonna happen? When am I gonna fall into beingness? Whatever you might want. It is the future. It is the price of the practice. And the prize is also the motivation. Or might be. But most of us think that awareness is just a thing. A thing that is nice. A thing that you can play with in some way. But this is not at all what awareness is. It is all we are. Awareness is first, then all the layers of the thoughts, our idea of who we are, comes after. And life is built around awareness. If you don't pay much attention to it, you're still longing for it. You think that it is something that comes and goes, that you can find as a prize. But the joke here is that if you look down, you notice that you already got the prize. The gold medal is already around your neck. And you go around saying, "Where is my gold medal? I want my prize. I want the prize of awareness. I want to find it." And if you glimpse awareness, if it's very clear to you, then you understand its allure. You understand its attractiveness. But it's also very easy to forget. Have you noticed? You feel clear for a few days, then the thoughts come in, trigger you into something, and it feels like, I don't know what meditation is anymore. But this is because it has to do with experiencing the now. And as soon as you believe in ideas, it takes you out of it. So it feels so fleeting. It's ridiculous how fleeting it feels. And every effort to grab it just makes it go further away. But therefore it's very helpful to look through the lens of duality and to understand what is non-dual and what is dual. Because as soon as there is space between you and this sense of beingness, if you have experienced it, you will also notice that it feels like there is a separation. Then there is actions that create that separation. I've taken this example before, but I can use it again. At one point, I listened a lot to an American Buddhist teacher who's called Adyashanti, and I was sitting in meditation. I felt a very deep silence, and it came in my mind. I heard Adyashanti's words saying, "Everything is one." And there was like a yes in me. And that completely took me out of the meditation. Because as soon as I started to try, and I wanted everything to be one, and I felt the edge of it, and I wanted it more, I pushed it away. That is what happens. And we're so baffled in our life, we're so surprised that when we give up, we get things. The one who is longing for a partner for many years and suddenly just feels like, this is not going to work. I give up. I do something else. I do my other things, blah, blah, blah. And then a person very easily comes. Because the resistance, it's created by the want, the duality. And it's very subtle. We just emit it. And when you don't want anything from people, they love to be with you. But if you want something from them, they will be very careful around you. And these are just the phenomena that happen in the relative from beingness. It's not a thing that you have to cultivate or have to believe in. We're just talking about what are the laws of Dhamma, or whatever you want to call it, life. Because the mind will say, if you don't do anything, nothing will happen. But in that, there has to be, for that passiveness to be there has to be some kind of resistance. Because being passive in life and resisting everything is also a sort of resistance. There is a natural flow to things. And this is very difficult to lean into if the mind is very prevalent, or if ideas are very prevalent, or very strong. And the movement of life is very playful. If it in any way feels very stagnant, there is resistance. And if you walk around with the feeling that there is no space, then there is no space. Because that is a position. That is a belief. And usually the big problem with this is trust. Because you think that I have to be in control, I have to hold up my life, I have to do this and this to create. Otherwise they will fall. And the mind has all kind of clever ways to show you that you really have to do that. And the mind will always position itself in, I either do it or I'm against it. But that is not how life works. Life is just happening. It's not two choices. The freedom of choice is ridiculous. It makes us have 20 different kinds of toothpaste so that people feel like they have freedom of choice. That is a ridiculous freedom of choice. And the mind likes to put things like that you have a selected number of choices. But the freedom of awareness just happening is much, much greater than 17 toothpastes. It's infinite, and it's also very surprising. It can happen in ways that you could never imagine. But a mind that is very much, this is going to happen or this is going to happen, cannot see the nuances between those things, the things that are happening, because they don't fit into the image of your world. Do you think something is too strange or too much of this or that, and you reject it because of it? But maybe it is the perfect fit. But through arrogance, you say, I already know what I want. I want this, this, and this in my life. I don't want that. But maybe the things that are just happening are perfect in their strange and messy way sometimes, and even the things that are not nice. And everything that we carry in our mind, all our ideas, they will be challenged by life. That is what we would call the karmic response to it. As soon as you have an idea, there will come something to challenge it. If you're afraid of something, that fear will manifest. That is what you're sending out, and it will come. I'm afraid of people taking advantage of me. I'm afraid of not being liked. I'm afraid of being this or that. Then life will come and give you those things until you say, okay, I understand. It's just another thought. It's just another idea of who I am that is limiting the experience. It's so easy to look at the world as external and what external things are doing to my life and blaming them. But the life is an inside job. It is what you carry around, is what you project onto your world, what you transmit, and you will get that back. And it's I think for many people that is a very harsh reality. They don't want to face that. They just want to say, but people are idiots most of the time, or they do like this, and that really bothers me. It's so easy to play the victim card instead of really looking. Okay, this really triggers fears. Stay with it, see what it is, bring it close. Be very honest with it. Being as you are is accepting the present moment as it is. That doesn't mean that you have to go along with every thought. It's not that kind of acceptance. It's accepting that the thoughts exist and that they come and that they have this content. And in the resistance, in the non-acceptance of the things in yourself, they become the thorns. They become the things that you see in others that disturb you and trigger you. oh, I think it's so difficult around her. She always takes so much space and she's always so loud and rash. It disturbs me. Why? All those things, they can be subtle. Just, I don't like that person's energy or whatever it is. Look. And a strange thing will happen. Some people's energy you will still not like, but you will love them. It's weird, but very beautiful. And it's so easy to invoke. If there is just some space, then empathy comes natural with it. Because the lack of empathy comes from being so focused on myself and the idea of I. And have the feeling that I have to defend it. And that I'm a victim of something. All these things. And when you see that people that have really bad behavior, you also understand that they live with that mind and those beliefs. But when you just feel a victim of it and you think that you're terrible and you want to push them out of your life somehow, then you don't see. You're just afraid. And when you love them, they don't linger. The thought of them don't come anymore because it's done. What is referred to as karma, usually I know I'm repeating myself for you, have heard me many times, but it's just that the expression karma is so misused in the West as something that is has to do with judgment. You have good karma or bad karma, this whole idea. It's very Christian idea of the judgmental God that has seeped into the idea of karma. But karma just means that your actions have consequences, that the way that you approach the world is not satisfying for you. It doesn't create it is not finished. If you meet someone and they're nasty to you and that just sticks, it just continues, and 2 weeks later you talk about how nasty this person is and all that. That is karma just continuing. If you in your heart feel love for the person who is nasty and understand that they live with this nastiness 24/7 inside, and you just feel love for them and you understand that they're what they're coming from in that, then the karma is gone. Then it's done. You feel love for them, you understand that they live with this, you have empathy for their suffering, for all that, and it's done. But as soon as it feels personal, you create this dual idea, I am the victim of this, and it continues. So that is the true meaning of karma, and why many teachers of meditation talks about getting rid of karma. That makes no sense with the popular culture version of karma. So in that sense, if you are at peace with yourself, you get rid of karma, and these thoughts don't continue, and the mind gets spacious, and this is what meditation does. It creates that spacious mind. And if it does not, it means that you resist something, or you cannot accept something, or you're simply ignorant of some idea in your makeup. But if you are sincere in your practice, it will reveal itself, because the same thing will come knocking time and time and time again. If it feels like something is really persistent, this seems subtle but very resistant, then there is something in that. And some karmas, some thoughts and things that feel relevant and comes back, they might need an action. They might need something to be expressed, something to be relieved in some way, or it can be very symbolic, the action, but it might need something just to show that it's something else than just a thing in the mind. My teacher in India often talks about contemplation. He often said to people, contemplate. They made some statement of what happiness is for them, or something like that. Or that, I don't know if my practice is making me happy, all these things. And he said, contemplate. What is peace to you? What is happiness? Ask yourself these questions. Look at, when were you last very peaceful? What is the freedom? Is it an idea? Is it a remembrance of a moment? What is what is happiness? When do you feel happy, truly at peace? Is it relying on external things? Is it a material thing? Where does love come from? Where does peace come from? I think these are questions that most people very rarely ask themselves. What does awareness do? How is awareness related to love, happiness? Are they completely foreign concepts, or do they have something in common? And what is your happiness? Is it based on excitement? Is it based on time? As soon as you have an idea of what is going to make you happy in the future, you feel excited about it. Is that your happiness? That is excitement of the future. That is looking for the gold medal. And I understand that it is very radical to say that you already got it. And you might say, but I don't feel like I got it. I don't have the great gratification of having it. So where is happiness hiding? And why does it so strangely, spontaneously come sometimes? And you might say, yes, that's because I was with these people in this situation and that happened. We had this picnic last summer and it was so beautiful. Everything was perfect. And you try to recreate it and it's not the same. So where is that? And you can be nostalgic about it, things from your childhood that you felt really happy about, and you want to do similar things again. So many people do things like this. And they get to feel a little bit of that nostalgia, that memory of this happiness, of this moment of peace. And they're obsessed, completely obsessed by it. That's why people get nostalgic, because they want to have that moment again. But does it have to do with the time? Do you understand this question? Is happiness based in time? What is this experience? Is this experience based in time? Is your life based in time? Then you have to ask the question, what is your life? And it's quite easy to see that it's just the present moment. But you will say, but I have a whole world of past and future that is huge. So many ideas of everything that happened to me growing up and my relationship to my parents and what is going to happen with me in my life, all the ideas of future success or tragedy or whatever your ideas are. Your fears and your dreams and all this. But if we look at it, what is actually life? We live in this dream world of a past and a future. The thoughts of it come again and again. And we go there. Oh, I want to tweak it a little bit. I think I want one more cat or whatever you have in your life. But all those ideas are just ideas in time. And the only time that this window really shrinks is if we get someone tells us your life is really short, you have 3 months to live. Then the future seems not so interesting anymore. And for many people also, they give up part of their past and they start to feel like, I really have to live this. It is now. But we don't have to wait until we have the knife against our throat. Our life is already just the present moment. And with that, I don't mean that you don't have to plan things or all this. You can plan whatever you like, but if your expectations is that your plans are going to create your happiness, then you're in trouble. But you make plans because people around you, everything works smoothly. But if your plans don't fall out, can you be completely fine? Can you be in 100% acceptance of that? Can you be humble enough to say, this is just a wish I had that I threw into the universe. Let's see what happens. For many people, that one is tough because they're invested in their future with their identity. And with that, I mean that their happiness lies there somehow. And you don't have to believe me. I just want you to look at these things. See what they do in your life and be very honest with it. And I understand if you're just starting practicing meditation, if you look at your mind, it will just seem like chaos at first. We have to be honest. We'll be very honest with you about that. And meditation is most difficult in the beginning. Because you will close your eyes and you will just say, it is crazy in here. It's just thought after thought after thought. It's just where there is no silence, there is no peace, there's just me sitting on a pillow with a lot of thoughts. And it takes a little time, but if you come to being aware of those thoughts, the whole perception of it will change. That is unavoidable. It will feel like you have to bring your mind back to being aware of the thoughts instead of being in them all the time, but that will be the effect. You will be much more interested, and your interest will shift to being aware of things, because you will notice that that keeps you calm. And many people don't know why they like certain things. Many people like, for example, to work out. They don't like the idea of going to work out, but they like to work out because it just keeps them in the body. If you're lifting weights or doing something physical, it keeps you in the body and you have to be aware. If it challenges you a little bit, it's great because that also makes you stay alert. And after you feel much clearer, you feel much more here. It feels much more relevant to be now. And that's just a side effect of being with the body. And practicing meditation, you will also notice that the less you're in your mind, the more you will be aware of your bodily sensations. That is just a natural way of what will happen. You will start to notice that you're out walking and you just notice the body walking instead of thinking what you want for dinner or whatever. It's just a shift of focus in that. And in the beginning, it is some work. But the more sincere you are, then it goes quite quickly and nicely. And if you practiced a while, you notice that sometimes the deep meditation just comes. It just comes when you don't want it. It doesn't care about what you're doing. Just sometimes silence. The beginning, it feels like it chases you a little bit. It feels like it's wrong because it just comes. And after a while, it just becomes natural. And the mind will resist these things because we have to understand that the mind's agenda is different. It wants to stay relevant. It wants to always have something to talk about. It loves to be in drama. It loves to say, you should do this. And when you do it, and it didn't go very well, it will say, you shouldn't have done that. I jokingly sometimes say, if you have a friend that behaved like the mind, you would cut that friendship really quickly. And it takes all those opportunities to stay relevant. And it's not very interested in the things that are non-karmic, that don't continue, because it doesn't have anything to do with that. It just feels frustrated and bored in that and said, now something has to happen. And if you're unaware and just go with the thoughts, it will create dramas, it will create situations just because something has to happen. Because it cannot stand the nothingness. It cannot stand the silence in meditation. And as you know, who you have listened to me many times, you know that I want to be very transparent with you. And this is one of the things that are difficult in meditation, is the resistance of the mind. And it might give you the feeling that you're really doing something wrong, or you're going crazy from it, or all these things, because it just wants to have some grip on you. It doesn't want spaciousness. Because the egoic mind has nothing to gain from spaciousness. It is its death. And it will behave like that. And the more you threaten it, the more you just say, okay, I just am. Thanks. Do you say thank you to everything? These things that the egoic mind hates. Because it's so embracing that there is no space for doubt, for all these things that makes the egoic mind have something to grow in. It needs something to hold on to. And when you might ask, but how can there be so many thoughts in my mind? How can there be so many concepts and so much drama in my mind? It is because you water the seeds. The egoic mind comes with a seed, but it has no power of its own. It just has a seed. It might even put it in the ground. But you have to water. You have to somehow believe that that is important, and then it takes a lot of space. And if you don't water it, it cannot grow. The egoic mind has no power on its own. But if you have given it power many, many times, the grooves that those wheels of routine have made are very deep. And it feels difficult to change them. But as soon as the seed that they sow is no longer believed in, they will change. They will fade. This book is my teacher in India, Swami Shashwat. He just released a beautiful book with 700 questions that people had in the ashram with him. And I just want to read one of them. One of the question is, why is it easy to hold on to beliefs but difficult to let them go? And Swami says, due to ignorance, a person does not see objects and situations as they are, but gets caught up in belief and bondage. Later, the person holds his head and cries. For example, a person with an addiction does not think of the consequences of his addiction, and in the pursuit of momentary pleasure, he starts using substances. But one day, the addict reaches the stage where he cannot give up his habit, even if he wants to. The substance of addiction has not trapped the person. Rather, it is the person who, due to ignorance, spent money to buy it. In the same way, a person gets trapped in various types of bondage and belief. When a person has held on to this belief for a long time, the samskaras or impressions they create keep bothering him. At the root of all this is attachment, created by ignorance. This does not necessarily mean one needs a lot of time to give up these beliefs. If you practice self-contemplation correctly, your mind can immediately let go of this bondage and these beliefs. Once the mind moves away from them, the impressions left by them will also fade away gradually. Sanna has a question.
Yes, so I feel trapped many times by the belief, something like I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. And if there is peace and it's spacious and clear, and then that belief shows a different reality, and I'm sucked into that reality somehow.
And you're sucked into?
And then I believe it. It's very loud. I'm not good enough. No, you have to do something to be safe. It's a fear-based thing. Yeah. No, it can't be that simple. It can't be safe. It can't be peaceful. No.
You have to do something more. Because it also that, and this is and I think this is a struggle for many people with the things that you start to notice that love comes from you, that peace emits from you, is the problem of, am I worthy? And I get this for free. It's like, I haven't really, there's no big struggle with it. There's not something that I really didn't put like some extreme effort or built a big empire or whatever it is around it. It just comes.
And that it's for free. Yes, it's not something I have to fight for or be worthy of.
Yes.
With effort.
Yes.
And that
Because you are not a someone that is worthy or unworthy. You are just that peace. And it's a beautiful thing that it is free and it is in everyone. And that everyone has the possibility of that peace. Because otherwise people would patent it. It would be a thing. Someone would own it. But the beauty with this is that it's not like that. And you don't have to prove yourself. You're perfect. As you are. And I'm not saying that as a compliment. I'm saying that as a fact. So the question is, can you accept that? Can you take it in? And on the other side of that not being worthy, you know what the other side is? Adyashanti calls it the superiority man. He calls it in himself when it arose. It's the other part that is arrogant, that says, I am better than others. I'm such a great meditator. And that is so easy to fall into if you can accept when that peace is coming. That is the other trap that the mind can make. But none of them are true. They're just the egoic mind trying to stay relevant in this. And somehow it has you on, you're not good enough. And I'm just making it very clear that it might also have you on, I'm better than everyone else. Because that is the same game. And I just want to make you aware of that, because if it tips over, it really easily goes into that. But none of them are true. And really stay, if that comes, that unworthiness, really stay with it. Don't try to fix it somehow or change it. Just see it really. Just invite it and say, okay, unworthiness, come, show me what you are. Because there is some resistance with it. There is something that you don't like about it, that creates this dual push and pull with it, to make it still feel relevant. And this whole feeling that I have to prove that I am good enough, also allow that to be there, to really be with those. Who has to prove? In relationship to what also? Do I have to show the world that I am good enough? Who is the approver of the good enough? You understand? Is it the ideas of parents, or is it the ideas of some authority? Should I say that you're good enough? You understand? All these ideas. Something else? No? And this is the difficult part in meditation, because when you're early on your journey, you will just start to notice that you're losing a lot of bad stuff. And no one is sorry about that. I used to be afraid of this, or I used to be so easily triggered by this, and that has just gone. Those things, everyone is like, whew, so good, so nice, the mind is more spacious, all that. And when the light from within starts to come, because that comes naturally. When the darkness dissipates, the light is there. And then you have to meet that. Then you have to see, okay, this beauty, this stillness, this peace, am I worthy of it? Who am I to have that? I'm not some saint. I'm not some special, or all the people you might look up to or hold in that regard. And suddenly that is your reality. I understand for many people that is big. overwhelming, too much. But it's also what is, because you are looking at things that many people don't look at. So you also get to see that there is this light. That is just one thing that happens if you're sincere. And it can be difficult to take it to heart, because it feels like, if you've been practicing for a long time, it feels like you look up to certain people, and you might look also at historical figures like Ramana or Nisargadatta now, in the context of Vedanta or non-dual meditation, are very just people that you can look up to, and you like their qualities and their nature, and they're always described in such fantastical manners. So if those qualities start to be embodied in you, do you understand? It can be so big. But that is when it goes from being external to being internal, the practice. It no longer has to do with aspiring to a goal, because you are that. So the question is, can you accept that? Can you allow yourself to be the same as Anandamaya Ma, Ramana? The obstacle is always the same. It's always the dual nature of the egoic mind. There is no other obstacle. It's also a very, very short book on what is the obstacle in meditation. I should write this one. It's very easy. You can have 2 pages. One is be as you are. The other one is all obstacles is the dual nature of the egoic mind. And it is that we don't see, what we call ignorance. It feels such a hard word sometimes. To be ignorant sounds really bad. So I think it's good to understand that you're just home blind. You cannot see your own behaviors because you so often live it. And then the other big hindrance is arrogance. The thing in you that says, I know, I already know. That is no longer open to looking. That is not open and have no acceptance for that you don't know. And the not knowing part is also something that comes with practicing. It's such a strange also a strange thing, because you think that you would see things more clearly and you would feel that you know. But that is not really the experience. The experience is that you are in acceptance of not knowing. And that there is only now, and you don't know what will happen in the future. And you don't know, it will be a surprise, but you're fine with it. So it's more that the quality of not knowing is just much more prevalent, because that is just a fact. That is not something that you can play with a little bit. And it's a relief. And the thing that you explore in meditation is just what is natural. What does not create karma? What kind of behaviors, what kind of relationship with your life creates peace? What is your guiding light in that? What is it that you follow? The ramblings of the egoic mind? Most people know what that takes them. Ultimately, it takes them here. Because they're tired of their mind. So instead of looking at Netflix on a Wednesday evening, they come and listen to this. And that's the beauty of coming in crisis or being so tired of your inner voice. It makes you look somewhere else. And in another way, there is a lot of clarity because there's a lot of space. But I think that the kind of clarity there is not in the way that people imagine clarity. I think that the imagined clarity is often that you will understand things, not that you will accept them, not that you will accept your inner world. I want to be careful with the word acceptance because it can sound like you're accepting the content of things, but that is not what we're talking about. It has nothing to do with accepting the ideas that come into your mind. It is that the thought of the idea is there. That is the acceptance. And when I first started meditation, I had no idea what it was. I think that most people think that it will make your mind more concentrated, that you will have better focus, you will be less anxious. And all these things, of course, are possible and side effects of meditation. But the greatest thing is the peace that comes with it. And what it shows you about who you are in relationship to that peace. That there is no difference between you and the peace that you experience. And all the ideas that you have of your mental states and how they work are wrong. That was at least my experience. So many beliefs that many of the states were in time. I think this is a big thing for me that I experienced. I thought that if you felt anxious or depressed or something, that it could not change quickly. Everything would be gradually and in time if I did the right things. These kind of ideas were very prevalent. And when if the beliefs feel very weak, they can just be lost from 1 second to the next. An anxious state, if you don't believe in the one being anxious, it just goes. And I didn't think that those things were possible. But then the more I see the mind, I see that everything can you can just see through it instantly. You can be taken by it instantly, and then you just question, for whom is this happening? Like very common in this tradition is that you do a meditation that's called self-inquiry, that you ask the source, you ask for the source of the thing that happens. And when you question that source, you notice that there is no one. That the idea is just continuing by itself because of belief. And when there is nothing to stick that on, it cannot continue. So it can dissipate instantly. And these kind of things, I was very surprised that it was like that. And certain things in the mental capacity just takes time. If something leaves and you don't believe it anymore, the thoughts of that old behavior can still come, and it fades gradually. That's also very common with the mind. But it's like but you already stopped watering the seed. The seed that is sown, or you start to water it and you realize, I am watering. What am I doing? Who is watering? and you come out of it. Because I think it's a very helpful way to understand that the mind very much puts you in a trance. As soon as you have a strong belief of something, especially if you're a victim, if there is pain related to it, you feel anxious or you feel like a victim in some way, it's very much like a trance. And it's very difficult. It can be very difficult to come out of that. It feels like your whole world is this bubble of these thoughts and these emotions containing that trance. And if you have the clarity to be aware of it, you will notice things like, oh, now that I'm irritated, the thoughts that come are from old situations that made me irritated. That just, the egoic mind just takes its chance to just bombard you with all the things in your life that cause irritation. And then you're in this, then you're boiling after a while. But it can just do that because you're in this trance and you're in a strong belief of it. If you have the clarity to say, for whom is this happening? All this, or just stay as awareness with it. And if you have a pattern of doing that, it becomes much easier. It's like the meditation creates a momentum like that. So the meditation is not only is not a fix for the moment when you practice. If you have it in your life and you come back to it time and time again, you will notice that it has the momentum of meditation into other things. And very naturally will come. And sometimes at first you would say, but in a situation where I'm angry, for example, it can never penetrate that trance. But at a certain point, there will just come glimpses of being aware of the thoughts, even in anger, being aware of the emotions. So the mind, excuse me, might say that some things are impossible, but it is not. It will say that you have no chance, and being aware of the mind, you have no, it is too much, it's too overwhelming, it's too thick, I have too many old tendency, I have too much baggage, I have too much traumas, I have too much blah blah blah. It's not true. Any more questions today? No. We usually sing something in the end. We have some bhajans. Do you want to choose, Sanna? Nataraja is if you've been to a yoga studio, they always have this same statue of Shiva with a circle, with the fire, and a dancing Shiva. It's like the yoga symbol. That is the Nataraja, the dancing. And this fire around the Shiva is the fire of awareness that burns the ignorance. And if you look at these statues, it's I love this little detail. And Shiva is always dancing on a little person that lies on the floor. And that is the ignorance. So look at that next time you're at the yoga studio. Look at the little ignorance person. They're usually very funny depicted. And I'm going to sing, and you can just join as you like. Nataraja, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja. Nataraja, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja. Shiva Om, Shiva Om, Shiva Om, Shiva Om, Shiva Om, Shiva Om. Nataraja, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja. Nataraja, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja. Shiva Om, Shiva Om, Shiva Om, Shiva Om, Shiva Om, Shiva Om. Nataraja, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja. Nataraja, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja. Shiva Om, Shiva Om, Shiva Om, Shiva Om, Shiva Om, Shiva Om. Nataraja, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Very good, very good. Okay.